This lecture, titled The Spirit, was given by Father Paul of the Holy Order of Mans. This lecture is undated and can also be found on tape number 610.
And I'm going to talk to you today about the Spirit, the energy which carries that Spirit, the personality of God, and how He created this universe. In the life force, which is carried by energy from the Father, is a personality and part of God through the Son, the Christ, the firstborn. It is the light. It is God in action. For you are using energy every moment of your life. You could not live without it. It is manifest on every plane and in all of the multi-colors, motions, and things about you. It is all there is. It is God being seen in the physical world. These things, the light, life, and love, the Spirit of God manifesting through the law and through the various things in nature, such as the flowers, the animals. And this is man. Man is the top one on that ladder, but man makes more mistakes because he does not listen to that which is given to him. Try to be aware of it in all its various phases. You can consciously direct it to a certain uses, for the physical efforts to the most nebulous of ideas. It can be used for negative purposes of which we do not want to do, which is sometimes, it seems necessary, but we do not recognize that that particular thing might be inharmonious and to what we had intended it to. But it works in all phases of life and motion and in the creation. But be consciously aware of this mighty force and its manifestations around you, and consciously try to work with it and be with God. The very purpose of our spiritual development and cosmic unfoldment, such as we are striving for in these higher levels of life, in this order, the Holy Order of Mass, is not to make ourselves appear outwardly different in form, color, or features, but to bring about that great rejuvenation from within and that attunement with the higher forces of the universe that will bring us a degree of immortalization, the everlasting life which Jesus spoke of. We know that we cannot make ourselves immortal in this physical body except through attaining the total body of light. For the flesh cannot be immortal in itself, but the light, when it is transformed into that ever-glowing, ever-moving body, it can be. This is the rebirth. It is corruptible, but it is natural, and its purposes. The soul, on the other hand, is incorruptible and immortal, totally as it is, because that is its natural purpose, form, and way, the way God created it. But we can develop and bring about that greater degree of atonement between the corruptible outer self and the incorruptible inner self that will tend to make the two more balanced and more harmonious. And we can bring about the rebirth that our Lord spoke of. And thus even some of us may reach that atonement and that degree of purity in which the light will cause our bodies to be transformed, and some may go through that ascension. This will bring unto us a greater reality of just how wondrous our Lord gave unto us these wondrous opportunities for better health, freedom from disease and illness, and a certain degree of immunity against those things that seem to upset the harmonious relationship between body and soul, or flesh and spirit. And in those cases that do attain, where the ascension is acquired, the development, the progress, just think, we too, as Jesus said, may do all of these and greater too. The outer physical self and flesh are wholly subservient to the consciousness within, and there is an extension of the period of life on the earth, and there is a greater health and a greater happiness. On the other hand, the inner consciousness gains by the attunement in having its faculties awakened and quickened by the light and the devotion and the spirit, strengthened and made more responsive. All in all, we gradually approach that sublime condition of harmony with which we become part of the cosmic balance. For as we come into this spiritual part of the year, and we start to think about our Lord, whom has been born this year, and we start to meditate, contemplate the various experiences of our Lord, of Calvary, of his death, of his resurrection, and his ascension, we then strike another note, something that has to do with those things around us. And he who learns to see the beautiful is in due order and succession, when he comes toward the end, will suddenly perceive a nature of wondrous beauty, not growing and decaying, but waxing and waning, not fair in one point of view and foul in another, or in the likeness of a face or a hand, or in other parts of the bodily frame, but in any form of speech or knowledge, nor existing in any other being, but the beauty only, absolute, separate, simple, everlasting, that certain touch of the Christ that is even in the flowers, and in every individual that breathes, which without diminishing and without increasing or change is imparted to every growing and perishing beauty of all things. Men then, when they gain this consciousness, this concept, when he comes to this point of revelation, he only uses the beauties of earth as he steps along, which he mounts upward for the sake of that other beauty, for the sake of the beauties, recognizing God's creation, going through one or two in all their fair forms, and from the fair form to the fair action, and from the fair actions to the fair motions, until from fair motions he arrives at this notion of absolute beauty, and at last he knows what the essence of beauty is. It is the reflection of Jesus Christ through all living things on the earth. The beauty of being a part of his world. And then as we work and walk along the way, as by rendering a service to men, you come to know those whom are willing to serve you in turn, and by showing a favor and a little extra work here and an extra consolation of granting them some part of your service, you convey unto them the sweetness of Jesus. Consulting together, you know those whom are wise, so by serving the gods you may make an experience with them that thing which we sometimes call brotherhood, but we don't seem to understand. If we are willing to give to you advice concerning things concealed from men, you will know that the deity is of such a nature that it sees all things at once, hears all things, and is everywhere present, and that it is providence in action, which cares for us all at once. To me, therefore, it seems that intelligent men will abstain from unholy and unjust and shameful deeds, not only when they are under the eyes of men, but even if they were in solitude, for they would reflect that not only one of the things they might do would escape the notice, not one of them would escape the notice of God. We should always keep in mind the laws of the spiritual and material triangles whenever a manifestation of cosmic power is to occur on earth plane and demonstrate here on this earth the spirituality of the cosmic being brought into physical manifestation. We must remember that these laws, with the point downward, represent such a manifestation. God in great humility, manifest here on earth. Those who bring themselves to attune with the cosmic are sure to be the ones to be used here on earth for the special work which the cosmic desires to do. If you think for a moment of the thousands of plans that the cosmic may wish to carry out in every city, country, and community each day of the year, you'll see that thousands, if not millions of persons are inspired daily with little impulses to do some one thing, and to do it just the way the cosmic wants it done. Very often these persons do not only find some little simple thing. On the other hand, sometimes there are those whom are selected to do a very important and tedious piece of work which requires a long time and much thought and much effort for its accomplishment. A leader, and the more one is qualified and prepared to cooperate with the cosmic, the more important will be the work given unto us as we prepare for it. The spiritual and cosmic laws do not submit themselves to the challenges of men's minds or lend themselves to the gratification of man's curiosity. You will naturally agree with that important statement. We cannot imagine the cosmic law ready at any moment to give us a demonstration just for the sake of proving that they exist. Great beings exist there. Life is eternal and continuous. Or that they can do certain things, or for the sake of satisfying our curiosity. Even the scientists themselves would not lend themselves to demonstrating for the sake of curiosity on the part of the public. The scientist would probably feel insulted if you asked him, if you said to him, you may have the brains and the power to produce certain results in a test tube, but I don't believe it until you show it to me. Yet these same scientists challenge the cosmic and the spiritual world to give them demonstrations in certain places, under certain conditions, and at certain times to suit their own fancy. Now we have persons whom are taking that same attitude in regard to their spiritual and sight development and attunement with the self. They expect that the spiritual development going on within them should constantly burst forth with some sort of outward material manifestation. It never dawns upon these persons that the spiritual and psychic part of development, that is the higher spiritual and higher psychic part, may be going on within them to such an extent that no outward manifestation of any kind is made, and no outward demonstration is possible unless the cosmic sees fit. If the hierarchy sees fit, or Jesus sees fit, to use this particular time or this particular way to demonstrate a thing, if they do see fit to do this, then they will use it as a channel and a special purpose.